A very good evening and good morning to all the participants. We're going to start today's session. In today's session, I'm going to continue with the certification questions. The IT department has agreements, SLA, that states all the production systems must be available to the end user within half an hour of any type of system failure. Which of the following helps to meet SLA for SAP HANA system failures? The IT department has a service level SLA, so they have SLA that states all the production systems must be available to the end user within half an hour of any type of system failure. Within half an hour of any type of system failure, which of the following helps meet SLA for SAP HANA system failure? Okay, now, what is the time here? Within half an hour for any kind of system failure. Now, disaster recovery may take more than half an hour. Disaster recovery means, suppose there is an earthquake. You have one data center in Japan, another data center in India. So Japan data center, due to earthquake, not able to respond. So immediately the data center in India needs to up and running. But for this, half an hour is not the time frame. Okay, scale up. Only scaling up the systems will not help for any type of system failure. Scaling up can be done in different ways. To scale up system will not help in system up and running in 30 minutes. Side-by-side scenario. Side-by-side scenario means SLT. SLT is called a side-by-side. You have SAP system, you have HANA system. You would like to replicate data in real time. Now suppose say an error occurred. SLT system is not working. Can we ensure that within 30 minutes it will be up and running for any kind of system failure? How this system will help to up and running of any kind of scenarios within 30 minutes? The final answer is scale out and high availability. So we need to configure the high availability scenarios for the system up and running. It is called as scale out high availability. So when you configure the high availability, systems are up and running 99.99%. So we need to scale out for the high availability. For any kind of system failures, it will be up and running with the participants. So what is the meaning of scale up? Nothing but scalability. You'd like to scale the systems something you would like to make in larger in size, like increasing the CPUs, increasing the RAM, increasing its capacity to make it something very large. Is nothing called a scale up. That would not help in disaster recovery. That would not help in systems to be up and running within half an hour. Okay, let us go to the next question. Which of the following can you use to implement currency conversion in an information model? The question is, which data models can implement currency conversion? Participants? So currency is nothing but master data or transaction data. Currency is master or transaction? Obviously transaction. Currency deals with amounts. It deals with amount. Anything amount related data is nothing but currency. When you're doing currency conversions, it's asking which information model can we use. When you would like to use currency conversions, in which information model can we use? Okay, a cal column inside a calculation view. So can we implement currency conversions inside a calculation view? Yes. Inside a calculated column, we can implement currency conversion. Sorry, we can implement currency conversion, yes. TC, let me go back. Let us go to the calculation view. Click new. Once you click new, let us give the name. Click finish. Once you click finish, so here you can see, click on new calculated column. So once you click on new calculated column, click on semantics. Select the semantic type amount with currency code. And here you see at the currency, excuse me, participants, sorry. So at the currency, you can implement the currency conversions where inside the calculated column. So do you think first answer is the right one? A calculated column inside a calculation view, you can do it. Okay, a restricted column inside an LAD view. Restricted columns are used for master data. They're used for master data, so you cannot use them for currency conversions. A calculated column inside an LAD view, yes. So if you go back, DC participants, when you double click on the LAD view, right click on the calculated column, click new, click on new calculated column. So can we use inside? Please, I can use amount with currency code. I can use this inside, even inside an LAD view. Okay, participants? Yes, we can use. A calculated column inside an attribute view. Attribute views are used for master data. When using for master data, how can I use a calculated column for currency conversions? I cannot use. So D is the wrong answer. We cannot use a calculated column in a calculation view. A calculated column in a calculation view. A restricted column in an LAD view. A calculated column in an LAD view. A calculated column inside a calculation view. A restricted column in an LAD view. A calculated column in an LAD view. A calculated column in an attribute view. So attribute views we cannot use. Restricted columns we cannot use. We can only use it in answer number A and C. So please see the answer. A and C is the right answer. This I'm going a little slow. Okay, next question. So I'm trying to repeat multiple times. Which view do you use to combine two analytic views? Participants, this is a very simple question, very straightforward. Which view do you use to combine two analytic views? Inside which view can we use to combine two analytic views? Analytic views can be combined in which view? Can it be done inside an attribute view? Or it can be done inside a calculation view? Or you can do it inside an analytic view, inside an analytic view. Using inside an attribute view is not possible. Just now we see. Even please see. If you open an analytic view, can I use another analytic view inside this analytic view? I cannot use. I cannot use one analytic view inside another analytic view. Then where I can use, please see, when I double click on the calculation view, double click on the calculation view. Now can I drag and drop this inside? Please see participants, I can drag and drop inside. I can drag and drop inside the analytic view. Okay, okay everyone. Let us go to the next question. Question number 23. You have created several information models. A colleague of yours need to be able to work on your information model. Which privileges do you have? Which privilege do you give to your colleague? You have created several information models. A colleague of yours need to be able to work on the information model. Which privilege do you give to your colleague? So the question is very simple. Whenever you would like to give information models are in package. If you would like to give to your colleague your package, we need to control using package privilege. Where is this package privilege? Which privileges do you need to give to your colleague? Package privilege. You need to assign the package to your colleague so that he can access your data models. Where is this, please see? Go back, scroll to the top, close the content, expand the users, double click on the user, once you double click on the user, here you can see package privilege. For the package privilege, click on the plus icon. Give the name of the package. Give the name of the package. Just you can give any package, SAP. So I'm trying to show you. Just trying to refresh. Just you select this package and click OK. So here you can give this. So once you assign these privileges, whatever the data models that are there inside the package can be accessed by your colleague. All these data models can be accessed by your colleague. So it's nothing but called as package footage. Okay, let us go to the next question. Question number 24. Which version of your information models are visible on the History tab of the modeler perspective in the HANA Studio? So which versions? What is the version of the information model are visible on the History tab of the modeler perspective in the HANA Studio? So when you go back, expand the content, TC participants, when I right click on the any data model. So here you see there's something called history. Click on this history tab. Once you click on this history tab, participants, what do you see here? Now the question is, the version that is displayed here, is it displayed for active versions or inactive versions? Only the last active version, all the active and inactive versions, all the active versions, the last active and inactive. So what is asking? If you right click on any data model and click history, the version of the object is displayed over here. Is it displayed for active only, active, inactive, or only inactive? So it can only display for objects which are completely active. Only active objects can display the version. If the object is inactive, the version is not changed. The version is same as before. So question number 25. Prior to modeling in SAP HANA, you want to validate a referential integrity between two very large tables in SAP HANA database. Which tool would you use? So what is a referential integrity? Normally in SAP HANA, whenever you would like to join two tables, what do? We take them inside the data foundation. A data foundation is a place where we join tables together. And you can also define different join type, like inner join, left outer join, right outer join. Now here what does he say? Prior to modeling, so even before you start data modeling in SAP HANA, so here we are not using the classic GUI window. We would like to use to validate inside Studio. Select the system, and here you can see Open SQL Console. Click on Open SQL Console. For example, let's say a simple statement. Create schema 1, 2, 3, for example, and click execute. So here, statement create schema 1, 2, 3 successfully executed. Expand EDB, expand the catalog, enter 1, 2, 3. So here you can see the schema with the name 1, 2, 3 got created. So we can use this SQL console to validate the referential integrity between two very large tables. Suppose say you would like to check the differential integrity between header table and item table. All the rows that exist in header, like VBLN, sale order ID, will also be available in item table. You would like to check, so there is no case where you have order ID in an item table and then you don't have it in the header table. So this kind of integrity you can check using SQL console by writing SQL statements. So the answer for this is SQL console. Question number 26. What is the advantage of reporting directly on a column table? Now, why should we use column tables directly to read data to the user interface? In which case are we going to use column tables? And then what is the advantage of using column tables directly to read data in the user interface? Provides multi-language support. It eliminates the need of additional modeling. It shifts complex calculations and logic to SAP HANA. It supports analytic privileges. So where are column tables? Column tables are under schema. Where is schema? Schema is under catalog. What do we do with the column tables? We use these column tables in data modeling. Even you have column tables, we need to use these column tables inside the data foundation when you start creating the data models. So in this case, what is the answer? It provides multi-language support. It eliminates the need for additional modeling. It shifts complex calculations and logic to SAP HANA. It supports analytic privileges. So what is the answer for this question? It eliminates the need for additional modeling. Why it eliminates need for additional modeling? Directly you can use these column tables in the user interface. We don't require modeling. But what disadvantage we have when we directly use column tables in the user interface? There is no multilingual support. The text would not be displayed based on the user language. So whatever the text that displays, it is due to the text join. Now text join is a join that is available inside the modeling. Text join is available inside the modeling. We cannot directly impose text join on a column table. And second thing is, we cannot control data directly on a table. Controlling data, what data should be used by what business user, can be controlled using analytic privileges. And even we cannot control data when you're trying to read directly the column table. We cannot impose privileges. To impose privileges, we need to use analytic privilege. And analytic privileges can only work on data modeling. So there are disadvantages, there are advantages. The advantages, no need of modeling. Easy to consume in the front end. The disadvantage, no multilingual support. No analytic privileges support. So the answer for this question is B. It eliminates the need of additional modeling. Question number 27. You want to aggregate the grand total sales amount into one currency. You want to summarize the grand total sales amount. You want to do what? You want to summarize the grand total sales amount into one currency. Which of the following cases would you perform the calculation before aggregation? Choose two. So when should you go for calculation before aggregation? You would like to calculate before it aggregates. So when is that scenario? The first answer is when a line item table contains sales values of two different currencies. So when you have two different currencies, you would like to consolidate into one single currency. When an aggregate table by country contains sales values in three different currencies. So what he is saying here, you would like to aggregate the total sales amount into one currency. So you would like to do currency conversions from multiple currencies to a single currency. So in the so you have two different currencies you would like to convert into one single currency, and here you have three different currencies. Whereas in the answer B, it is only one currency, and here also you have only one currency. So you would like to summarize the grand total sales into one currencies when you have multiple currencies coming from the source. So A and D is the right answer. What type of calculation would you create to ensure the fastest calculation performance? So which is the fastest calculation engine? The fastest calculation engine in SAP HANA is a calculation engine. So calculation engine can do fastest calculations. What will a join engine do? So where is the join engine? The join engine is inside the attribute views. It can do the fastest join operation. What will OLAP engine do? OLAP engine is inside the analytic views. It can do the fastest aggregation. So every engine has an importance. Attribute views perform the fastest join operation. Analytic views perform the fastest aggregation or summarization of data. Calculation engine can do the fastest calculations. So in this case, what type of calculation would you create to ensure the fastest calculation performance? A report variable in business objects reporting client, a calculated column in SAP HANA information model, an input parameter in an SAP HANA model, a calculated measure in SAP business objects universe. Participants, what do you think is the right answer? So always logic should be close to data. data should be always close to the logic. This is the client. Universe is also the client. So here, what is executing inside the SAP HANA system? What calculations are executing inside the HANA system? Where logic is kept close to data. A calculated column in an SAP HANA information model. See, here it is talking about the calculations. Calculations can be executed inside the native HANA. Why? Because logic and data both are close together. When logic and data is close together, you can execute faster. So in the first answer, it is about client. The fourth answer, it's also in the client. But here it is executing inside the HANA model for a calculated column. So input parameters can also do calculations, but calculated columns can give more performance than the input parameters. Next question, question number 29. Which of the following remote data sources can you access with SAP HANA Smart Data Access? Participants, what is Smart Data Access? A Smart Data Access can access data on demand. A Smart Data Access can access data on demand. So when you're accessing data from Smart Data Access, from which remote sources can you access data? So these are the different options that are available, but please see, we go to the Smart Data Access, provisioning, good night please. Just 1 minute please. So in this case, So when we right click on the remote source, click new remote source, and here we could see in the adapter name, we see these are the different remote sources like AAC, Teradata, IQ, HANA, Hadoop, Generic ODBC, Oracle, MS SQL, Netezza, DB2, MaxDB, Hadoop, MII, Aura. So these are different file adapter names. So if I go back to the HANA Studio, to the PDF, so here you can see which are the following remote data sources can you access in SAP HANA Database Access. SAP Network Business Warehouse, Microsoft SQL Server, Apache Hadoop, Teradata Database, SAP Sybase, Adapt to Server Enterprise. So basically these are this is the question. Now please tell me, participants, which one does the Smart Data Access doesn't support here? So here you see it supports Microsoft SQL Server, DC. MS SQL is supported. Apache Hadoop is supported. Teradata is supported. AAC is supported. Hadoop is supported. AAC, Adapt to Server Enterprise is supported. And Apache Hadoop is supported. Only that it doesn't support is the BW. SAP Business Warehouse. So in this case, the answer is, which of the following remote data sources can you access? Okay, it is can you access. Is can you access? Okay, you can access Microsoft SQL Server, you can access Hadoop, you can access Teradata database, and so all these four you can access. So it is C, D, and E, but also please see, this is also right answer. Please see here, MS SQL also is supported. So MS SQL is also the right answer. Now the question says only 3, but you also have the 4th answer, which is the right answer. So all four are the right answers. Now question number 13. When you use SAP Landscape Transformation, SLT replication, which of the following can you set up in the advanced application settings? When you use the SAP Landscape Transformation, SLT, when you use the SAP Landscape Transformation SLT replication, which of the following can you set up in the advanced application setting? So what can you set up in the advanced application setting? Change the character field length of a table. Change the target table for a specific record of a table. Assign a specific mass transfer ID to a table. Add a field to a table. Change the character field length of a table. Change the target table for a specific record of a table. Assign the mass transfer ID to a table and add a field to a table. So where is this advanced application setting? Where do you find this option? Participants, where do you find this advanced application setting? Excuse me. You find this advanced application setting, please see. Let us go to SAP Logon. Let us double click on SLT. Provide the username as best. Enter the T code. So here this is called as advanced application settings. So in the advanced application settings, this is called as the T code IUUC underscore REPL underscore content. Now what do you do with this T code? What is the purpose of this T code? So in this T code, what we can do is, when the data is transferring real time from source to target, in between we can massage data by writing different transformation rules. So what kind of rules you can do here? You can add a field to a table. You can change the target table for specific records of a table. Change the character field length of a table. Assign a specific mass transfer ID to a table. So what can you do and what you cannot do? So you can add a field to a table. So how can you add TC? I'll just show you how can you add. If you go back, but we require a configuration. So without configuration, it is not possible. So only when you have configuration, you can see. Let me show you one configuration. Let me log into S4 HANA. IUUC underscore REPL underscore content. Once you go to this, let me show you. Just checking if any RFC is there. Sorry, 1 minute please, I'm just checking. Okay, I think I'll show you the next week when the configuration is there. Once again, I will show this question. But now again, I need to recreate configuration. No RFC is there, I need to recreate. It is going to take some time. So once the connection is there, I'll show it in the next week. So for now, the answer for this question is, you can add a field to a table. You can add a field to a table, and also you can change the character field length of a table. You can add a new column to a table. Also, we can change the character field length. So suppose it is 10. We can change to 15. You would like to add a new column to a table. We can add a new column to a table. And what we cannot do is, what is mass transfer ID? Mass transfer ID is nothing but an ID that is generated by system whenever you're creating a new configuration. When you create a new configuration, what is going to happen? For every connection that we generate, a new ID is generated by system. Now what he is saying here, can you assign that particular ID to one single table? Because in one mass transfer ID, you may have n number of tables being replicated. It is not possible to associate a mass transfer ID on a table level. It is only based on the connection level. One connection will have only one mass transfer ID. In that particular connection, all the data from source to target will get transferred. We cannot specifically assign one ID to one single table. So that's why it is wrong answer. Now change the target table for a specific row of table. We can change data from source when it is transferring data to target. But once the data reaches the target table, we cannot make any changes. We can only make changes on the SLT server when the data is being transferred to target. We cannot change data on the source table. We cannot change data on the target table. We can only change data when data is getting transferred from SAP system to HANA system. So for this, the answer is A and D is right answer. Okay. Which of the following are the restrictions of SAP HANA flat file upload? Now here it is asking, when you're importing the flat file to SAP HANA, in that case, what kind of restrictions will apply? What kind of restrictions will apply? Participants, when you're importing file, what kind of restrictions apply? Please see. Go back to the HANA Studio. I click File. I click Import. Data from local file. Click Next. Select the system. Click Next. And here, select the file. Double click on any of the file. Click heterosis. Select the schema. Just I'm trying to show you. Provide the table name. Click Next. So So here you can see what is the limitations here. Participants, please see. Now here you see PUKRS. Now suppose say I have another column over here. Now can you map this column to this? Do you see? Can I map PUKRS to this column? I cannot map. I cannot map PUKRS to the fifth column. So that is the limitation. We can only do 1:1 mapping, but we cannot do 1:many. That is one limitation. And the other limitation of flat file upload is we choose the existing table. Let's say I'm choosing any existing table, for example. Click next. Now, what is that you cannot do here? You cannot make any changes, please. There is, once the table is created, you cannot make any changes to the target table. So the question here is, what are the restrictions of SAP HANA flat file upload? Please see, participants, what is the right answer here? The upload prevents data type changes when appending data. When you're trying to append data to an existing table, the table which is already created, you cannot append. The upload will prevent data type changes when you append data. Now the other one is, the new table must have 1:1 mapping between the flat file columns and the table columns. The new table must have 1:1 mapping between the flat file columns and the table column. So here it needs to maintain 1:1 mapping between the flat file and the table. You cannot have 1:n. We can only have 1:1 mapping. So that is also the restriction of the importing flat file. Okay, participants. So when importing flat files, restrictions will apply to 1:many, and the upload prevents data type changes when appending data. Okay, let us go to the next question. Question number 33. You have a table of transaction data with different transaction types. You want to create an LAD view for only one transaction type. How can you ensure that only rows with the required transaction type are displayed in the LAD view? Participants, you have a table of transaction data with different transaction types. You want to create an LAD view only for one transaction type. How can you ensure that only rows with the required transaction type is displayed in the LAD view? So how can you ensure? By creating an input parameter, by creating a filter on a table, by creating a calculated column, by creating a restricted column. Calculated column means it can do calculations. A restricted column can restrict data, but along with a measure. Input parameter can do calculations based on the user input. Based on the user input, it can do calculations. The simple answer for this is creating a filter on a table. But how can you create a filter on a table? Please see, participants. How can we create a filter on a table? Please see. When I go to a customer master, click on data foundation. Now, can I do something like this? Now, when I data preview, click on data preview. Click on data preview. Click on raw data. So here you see all the data. You see, you can see all the data. Now, let's say you see AE, AR, different countries data you see over here. But the question here is, the question for this, the answer for this question is, you would like to see only one country. Please see, when I right click on the country column, click distinct values. Please see, participants, you can see US, you can see GB, DE, FR, JP, all different countries you can see. But I would like to restrict only one single country. How can I do that? Click add filter. Click on land one. Click show list of values. Select DE. Select and click OK. And finally click execute. So once you click DE, so here it should only show DE. So this is what the requirement is. But how can you achieve this? So here you're doing a filter, but here what I can do, I can directly go to land one. I can apply filter over here. So these are called as design time filters. These are called as what? Design time filter. Right click on land one. Click apply filter. Click show list of values. Select DE. Select DE, click OK. Click OK. Click validate. And click save and activate. Click on data preview. Click on raw data. Click on show log. Generate SQL console. Please see here. So this is the view. This is the select statement over here. You can see the select statement over here. But what it is filtering over here. So here you can filter only the DE. The country DE is being filtered. So what is the answer, participants, for this? The answer for this question is, it's simple. Create a filter on a table. So let us go to the next question. Let us go to the next question. A corporation with over 15,000 cost centers would like to ensure that only one person responsible for the cost center may view salary information for individuals assigned to their cost center. How can the corporation achieve this in SAP HANA? Create a dynamic analytic privilege using a cost center and the employee master data. Creating an analytic privilege using the cost center and the salary measures. Create an object privilege on the cost center and employee master's schema. Creating analysis authorization using the cost center and the employee master data. A corporation with 1,000 15,000 cost centers would like to ensure that only a person responsible for the cost center may view salary information for individuals assigned to their cost center. You can perform the corporation to achieve this in SAP HANA. So how can you do that? So we need to do using the dynamic analytic privilege. We need to execute using dynamic analytic privilege. Because please see here, if 15,000 cost centers would like to ensure that only one person responsible for a cost center may view salary information for individuals assigned to their cost center. So in this case, only the static analytic privileges is not possible. Dynamically, we need to implement the analytic privilege. So scroll to the bottom. We need to implement the dynamic analytic privilege. So the answer is A. Which SAP HANA privilege are used to administer a task such as creating a schema? So creating schema is administered under which analytic privilege? A schema is nothing but the object. Schemas are called as, they come under object. So in order to administer the schema, which analytic privilege you use? System privilege, package privilege, analytic privilege, application privilege. So in order to SAP HANA privileges used to administer tasks such as creating a schema. So if you would like to create a schema, if you go to the security, in order to create an object privilege, you require a system privilege. Let us double click on the roles. Once we go to the, so here you have the object privilege where you can access the schema. But to access the schema, what do you require? System privilege. Click on the plus icon. You see here you'll have something called a system privilege called create schema. So create schema is called a system privilege. If you have this privilege to the user ID, then we can create a schema. Then in that case, we can create a schema only when you have the system privilege. Okay, participants. Question number 36. Are the participants able to follow the sessions? All the participants are feeling comfortable, or any participant not feeling comfortable? Participants find it interesting? Participants are finding interesting? Okay, question number 36. You created an input parameter in an information model. Which of the following can you use this input parameter? What is the question, participants? You have created an input parameter in an information model. In which of the following can you use this input parameter? Where can you use this input parameters? Where all can you use this input parameters? The definition of an information space that reads from an information model. The creation of the BEX query is reading from the information model. The creation of the business objects web intelligence report directly on the information model. the definition of an object in an SAP business objects universe. So you created an input parameter in an information model. Which of the following can you use this input parameter? So you create an input parameter in an information model. Which of the following can you use the input parameter? The definition of the information space that reads from the information model, the creation of the BEX query reading the information model, the creation of the SAP Business Objects Web Intelligence report directly on the information model, the definition of the object, the business objects universe. Okay, so basically input parameters can be used inside the universe. Question number 37. A new user has implemented SAP HANA data model. Which technical user requires the select rights on the new user schema? A new user has implemented the data model. A new user is created on the system. When a new user is created on the system, which technical user requires the select rights on the new user schema? Participants, please tell me. It's a technical user which requires a select rights on the schema. It is nothing but underscore sys underscore repo. So you need to have this technical user select rights on the new user schema. So if you go back to the HANA Studio, go to the security, expand on the security. So once you double click on the security, double click on name of the role, click on select the schema. So here, click on roles. So this is the schema. So for this schema, what you need to have, if I go to the user, you'll find a user called underscore sys underscore repo user. Right click on the users, click filter. So what is the username? Please see participants. Which technical user requires a select rights on the new user schema? So this is the new user schema underscore sys underscore repo. Let us go back. Enter the user ID. Click hold word. Click OK. Double click on the new user. Once you double click on the new user, here you can notice. Double click on the new user. Here you can notice they're different privileges out here. So we go to the object privilege. Please see all the schemas. You see, all the schemas should have the select. You see the select to the underscore sys underscore repo. this schema, so whatever the new schema that you create, that particular schema, now you see I created a schema called 1, 2, 3. Now what I need to do, I need to attach this 1, 2, 3. You need to attach this 1, 2, 3 schema. Starting of the session, I created 1, 2, 3. Let's say I'll take this, click OK. So we need to select this and do what? We need to have a select. On this schema, we need to have a select for the user underscore sys underscore repo. And here we need to click deploy. So user underscore sys underscore repo changed. So now that particular schema, you can select tables from that particular schema. Otherwise, it will throw an error. Otherwise, it throws an error. Okay. Now, question number 38. What do you have to define in an attribute view to reduce the initial amount of data selected from the data foundation tables? Now, in order to restrict data, not restrict the initial amount of data, what you can do, participants? To restrict data, to restrict the initial amount of data, what I can do? Nothing but we can apply a design time filter. Same answer but with a different question. A static filter value on any column in the data foundation tables. So we go back. Click on the projection. Let's scroll up. Expand the content. Double click on the attribute view. Right click on the column. Apply filter. This is again at the static. So here you have the static value. Okay, participants. So all that you have here is static. In order to reduce the initial amount of data to be selected, we need to use the design time filter. So next question number 39, sorry. In a left outer join, the left table has 1 record and the right table has 3 records. What is the maximum number of records that you expect in the join result? What is a left outer join? A left outer join is a join that selects all the values from the left side of the join condition. On the left side of the join condition, whatever the data that you have, it selects all the data. And any common value from the right side. Any common value from the right side. So in the left table, how many records you have? In the right table, how many records you have? When you execute a select statement, what is the result that you can expect? Only 1. So the answer is B. So what are the consequences of executing a stop activity on a data provisioning view? So when you execute a stop activity on the data provisioning view, in SAP HANA Studio for a table that is currently replicated. So what is going to happen? Consequence of executing data provisioning in the SAP HANA Studio for a table that is currently replicated, triggers and logging tables are deleted as a part of stop activity. Okay, participants? Now, where do you find this stop activity in the HANA Studio? Currently, we are seeing this stop activity in LTRC. So in LTRC, when you click on data provisioning, select stop load / replicate. Here I'm trying to execute. But you can find the same option. Go to the HANA Studio. Let us log into the HANA Studio. Click OK. I'm logging into the HANA Studio. Let me also show you the status. So once you stop, what is going to happen? So here you find on your right hand side, we find an option called data provisioning. Click on the data provisioning. Select the system. Click finish. Once we click finish, please see participants. So here you find an option called stop replication. Now let me go and select the same. Let me go and select the same schema. So what was the name of the schema? What was the name of configuration? The configuration name is Asutosh. So here you need to find the same name over here. So here it is. So let us select this. Now please see participants, for DD02L, stop executed. Now here you can see. For DD02L, the stop is executed. So either you can do stop from the HANA Studio, or even we can do stop activity from LTRC. But the final result is DB triggers and login tables are deleted. Okay, let us go to the next question. Question number 41. You modified an active analytic view. So we modified an active analytic view in the HANA Studio and saved it without activating it. What is the consequence? The inactive view is not available. Inactive view is in read-only mode. Active view is not available. Active view is in read-only mode. So what is the right? When you modify an active analytic view in the SAP HANA Studio, you saved it without activating it. So what is going to happen? The active view is in read-only mode. Still you have the active version of the view, but that active version of the view is in read-only mode. Okay, participants? Can I move to the next question? So inactive view is available. Inactive view is available. Is inactive view read-only mode? Inactive view is in change mode. Now, the active view is not available or it's available. active view is available. But active view is available, but active view is in read-only mode. To the next question. So this question we'll discuss when we discuss about SQL script. When we discuss about SQL script, we'll discuss this question. Let us go to the next question. Excuse me. In a graphical calculation view, you specify the default client to be dynamic. How is the client value determined when the view is used? So in a graphical calculation view, you specify the default client to be dynamic. How is the client value determined when the view is used? So what is the question over here? PC participants? Let us go back. When you click on semantics, when you click on view properties, let me revert to this active, and let me activate this. Let us click on semantics, click view properties. Now please see participants here. This is called as default client. Now here you see in the default client, you have session client and cross client. Now also see participant, now this is inside the information view. Now where are you seeing this? Inside the views. But you see there is another place. Let us scroll to the top and let us close the content. Let us expand the security. Let us expand roles, sorry, users. Double click on the user. Once we double click on the user, please see participants here. Now you see there is something called session client. Excuse me. Now here you see the client value is used to filter. See, the client value is used for filtering in the content models. So whatever the client that you specify over here, it is used to filter in the content. Now this is used to filter in the content. Now, what I'm trying to say, participants, now let us go back. So in a graphical calculation view, you specify the default client to be dynamic. How is the client value determined when the view is used? By checking the session client of the user accessing the view. What is saying? By checking the session client of the user accessing the view. By reading the client of the table in the view. By applying the filtering condition on the client field. By executing the procedure in the user's own schema. So how is the client value determined when the view is being used, participants? So what will be the answer? How is the client value determined when the view is being used? So if you see back, go back. Here you see this is the user. John is the user. How is the client value determined for John? client value is used for filtering the content models. You see the content models. So these are nothing but content models. So if you specify for John, he needs to access for client 800. Now here if we specify here session client, so whatever the client that you specify for John, by checking the session client of the user, so it's going to check the session client. So in the session client for this user, what is the client value? So it's going to check. So the answer for this is A. So you cannot filter a client on a table. We cannot directly filter a client on a table because we are working on the views. So we're not working on tables directly because we are working on the views. By applying a filter condition on the client field, please see participant, what is this answer? When you go back, when you go to any of the data model, click on data foundation, or please see MANDT is nothing but the client. So what I can do, but when I apply the filter on MANDT, suppose say I click apply filter, and then I apply filter for 800 client, for example. Now what is going to happen? Any user accessing this view, they can only see data related to 800. It cannot be dynamic because you are directly hard coding at the view level. And these are called as constraints or called as design time filters. So what is a design time filter? A design time filter is a filter that executes even before the join condition executes. Even any kind of condition that can execute, it can directly filter data on a table. What is the advantage? What is the advantage of using this approach? The advantage is now you know that client should be static. It's not dynamic. Directly you can hard code in the view. All the users can see the same data. The advantage is the performance. So whenever you think a particular company code or a particular sales organization is necessary to be hard coded, directly instead of creating a variable or creating a filter in the front end, we can directly hard code in the back end, which is called as constraints or design time filters. Okay, participants? So what is the advantage by using a constraint or a design time filter? The views execute faster. Why a view can execute faster? Because logic and data, by keeping them together, normally when you apply a filter, what is going to happen? It needs to transfer the data as front end. From the back end, it needs to filter, and then it has to request from the front end, and again transfer to the front. Again, the result have to be transferred to the next layer. But the advantage of design time filter, logic and data is kept together. Views can execute faster. And even the condition executes before the join condition. Even before any kind of join condition can apply, it can execute before the join condition. Okay, participants, okay. Now, I'll show you a simple example. Please see, I'll just show you a simple example. Let us click find. Find for view KRS. I'm right click on view KRS, click on apply filter, click show list of values. I'll only select company code 1000 and click OK. And click OK. Now you see there are so many other company codes. When you right click on this, click edit filter, click show list of values. Now you see there are so many company codes over here, but I'm only selecting one company code called 1000. Click OK, click OK, and click on advertisements and click activate, and finally click data preview. Then I'll click on data preview and click on raw data. So here you see participants. So here when you see for view KRS, you see here, when right click on this, click on distinct values. So what is the only company code that we can see here? Company code 1000. Now you see here participants, how much time it has taken? 168 milliseconds. When you create a design time filter, it has taken 168 milliseconds over here. Now let's say I go back and I'll remove this design time filter. Let us remove the filter. Click validate. Click save and activate. Now I'll do filter from the front end, not from the back end. I'll do from the front end. Click on data preview. Okay, participants, click on raw data. Click on add filter. Click on view KRS. Now here also you can create a filter. Click on show list of values. Select the company code 1000. Select. Click OK. And click. So here you have an option called execute. So click execute. So once you click execute, so here also you can see the output for company code 1000. So this way also you can see the output, and the other way also you can see output, but the only difference is, so here you can directly do it from the backend, apply filter. This is called design time filters. The filter that you do in the front end is a normal filter. Okay, now coming back to the question, in a graphical calculation view, you specify the default client to be dynamic. How is the client value determined when the view is used? By checking the session client of the user accessing the view. Okay, participants. So basically, it directly checking from the user, and directly it is trying to filter from the user level. Okay. Now, can I let me ask you one more question at this point of time. Whenever you would like to restrict data at the runtime of the user query, what is the concept that we are going to use, participants? Whenever you would like to restrict data at the runtime of the user query, what is the concept known as? Any participants would like to answer? Please see, let me go back to HANA Studio. Let us expand. Right click on the package, click new. The concept is nothing but analytic privilege. So what is an analytic privilege? Please see, participants. When I click on analytic privilege, analytic privileges are used to restrict data at the runtime of the user query. But there we are talking about client. But analytic privileges, you can do it on a package. Analytic privileges are used to restrict data. Suppose a user is from Germany. He can only see data related to Germany. And the other user is from India. He can see data related to India. So you can design the authorization matrix. What user has to see what data. You can do the data governance. You can govern data by using analytic privilege. Analytic privileges are used to restrict data at the runtime of the user query. Okay, let us go to the next question. Go to the next question, participants. So here the next question is, which of the following are characteristics of SAP NetWeaver BW Business Warehouse when migrating it to SAP HANA? So he's asking, when you're migrating to SAP HANA, now first of all, what is BW? BW is nothing but business warehouse. So when you're migrating it to SAP HANA, what is going to happen? What is the answer here? Choose three. There are three answers for this question. So the first answer, the sizing of your current SAP NetWeaver BW application server remains valid. That is the first one. And second one is, it allows the reuse of your available SAP BW application server. So we can reuse or not, or SAP HANA DB, we can reuse. The system usage is same as an eco-BW on non-SAP databases. It is equivalent when you're running on non-SAP or SAP. The functionality remains same when you only change the database layer. You're only changing the database layer, but application server still remains valid. We don't have to make much changes on the application server. This kind of migration, we call it as DMO. What we call it as DMO, database migration option. So you can do a database migration option using DMO. Okay, participants, I'm going to the next question. Excuse me. You have two analytic views. One contains actual data and the other contains plant data. You want to combine the both results and keep actual plant data on separate records. In the SAP HANA Studio, which of the following can use to achieve this? So basically you have two analytic views, one containing the actual and the other contain plant. So two analytic views are there. One analytic view contain actual data and the other analytic view contain plant data. You want to combine both the results, both actual and plant you would like to combine. You would like to combine, but still you would like to keep them in separate records. How is that possible? Please see, participants, just I'll show you this example on system. You have two analytic views, the actual data and the other contains the plant data. You want to combine the two result sets and keep actual and plant data on a separate records. So what is the key point over here? You want to keep them separate records or you would like to combine into one single record? you'd like to keep it as a separate record. So in that case, what is the answer? How are we going to do this? In the SAP HANA Studio, which of the following can you use this to achieve this? Obviously, the best answer that you can find over here, from these 4 answers, which is the best answer you can find? You can achieve using union. We cannot achieve using projection. Now, what is projection? Projection is completely different. Projection is nothing but selection of columns. What is the use of projection? Now, suppose say you have 20 columns. You only want to select 10 columns out of these 20 columns. In such a scenario, we use projection. We use projection in such kind of scenarios. So projection is basically used in a scenario. Projections are used whenever you would like to select required columns, but a union is used whenever you would like to combine. Okay, participants? Okay, let us go to the next question. Question number 46. In a calculation view, 1 minute, participants. Okay, in a calculation view, you define a calculated column and set the calculated before aggregation flag. Which of the following activities is mandatory to activate the view? So what is the question, participants? In a calculation view, you define a calculated column. Now, what is a calculated column? Participants, what is the meaning of calculated column? A calculated column is a column you can derive a new column based on existing columns. A calculated column is a column where you can derive new column based on existing columns. Okay, participants, let us go to the next question. Now here you see, which of the following tools can you use to load data into SAP HANA from data source extractors? The next question is, whenever you would like to load data, you want to do what? Load data into SAP HANA. From where you want to load data? From data source extractors. Now what do you mean by an extractor? What is the purpose of an extractor? Participants. So an extractor is nothing but, what is an extractor? An extractor is nothing but it's a program to activate data services. And the other way to do this is using SAP direct extractor connection. What you can do, you can use SAP direct extractor connection. Using SAP direct extractor connection, we can even extract data from the data provision. Okay, participants. A and D is right answer. Thank you all the participants to attend today's session on certification. I'll see you tomorrow.